watched. For centuries, Christians had a Bible with no chapter numbers, no verse numbers. You had to know the context. There are clear verses that say he will come like a thief in the night. And then immediately in the context, you'll find a statement that that is how it will happen to some, but not others. Jesus told a story about a householder who had an idea that a thief was coming, and he stayed awake and watched for any sign of his coming. And when he saw the thief coming, he was ready for him.
You see, Jesus warned that before God's government, before His kingdom is brought to this earth, there will first come Antichrist, a future evil archenemy of Jesus Christ at the end of the age. John tells us that there are more than one Antichrist, and that they had been, and in fact, continue to be on the scene as he wrote almost 2,000 years ago. John also talks about one specific Antichrist. He wrote, "You have heard that Antichrist is coming." He uses the singular word Antichrist. Now, it's important to note that when the word Antichrist is singular, that this Antichrist represents an individual person, one specific individual. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day of Christ's return will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God. The word translated opposes literally means to be against or contrary to or anti.
First, he says that there will be the appearance of false messiahs who will mislead many. Then he says, nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. In various places across the world, there's going to be famines and earthquakes. After that, he says, but all these are merely the beginning of birth pangs. When you see the abomination of desolation, which was spoken of through Daniel the prophet, then let those in Judea flee to the mountains. According to Daniel 9:27, the abomination of desolation, that is the Antichrist going into the temple, will happen at the midpoint of Daniel's 70th week. Then there will be a great tribulation, such as has not occurred since the beginning of the world until now, or ever shall.
Now here's what Jesus says in Matthew 24. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light, but the stars will fall from heaven and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send his angels, and with a great sound of a trumpet, they will gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Jesus describes here about his coming. It is after the tribulation. So in 1 Thessalonians, we don't have an exact mention of the time period, but we do here in Matthew. So it's after the tribulation. Where is Jesus? Well, he's in the clouds. Who does he come to gather? The elect. The elect are the saints. They are Christians. They are those who are his, who are Jesus Christ. And what's very important here and also understanding is that he comes at the sound of a trumpet.
repeatedly we see the return of Jesus and the heralding of the rapture and resurrection associated with a trumpet. The question is, which trumpet? We have two trumpets in Scripture. Which trumpet is it talking about? This trumpet is a ram's horn. It's called a shofar in Hebrew. It's something God made. The other is the silver trumpet, or trumpets, hutzatzot, plural in Hebrew. In Greek, solapigo. Two different instruments, they make two entirely different sounds. The shofar is blown ritually on two occasions, which was originally the Hebrew feast of trumpets, Yom Truah. The shofar is also blown on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, on Hashanah HaYovel, the year of Jubilees. The shofar is blown at fixed times. It's always blown at fixed times. The solapigo could be blown at any time. We cannot know the day or the hour of the Lord's return. We can just know it's approaching. The shofar is not the trumpet for the rapture. The solapigo is.